Hi, I'm Rob. Welcome to Watchwise. Today we're going to look at another incredible piece. If you didn't get that pun, the Credor range, the Credor Fugaku. I'm sure you got that from the video name. This piece was launched in 2016 at Basel World. Quite a showstopper to say the least. It is limited to 8 pieces worldwide and comes in at £375,000. Let's look in a bit more detail to find out why. This watch, I don't know whether to describe it as fine art, fine jewellery, fine watchmaking. For me, it's all three, although I'm not an artist. Who is an artist, however, is Hokusai. The dial inspiration from this watch is from the Great Wave, which is a very, very famous print by Hokusai. It's based on the 36 views of Mount Fuji, this being the first of the prints. This actually is just a printout I did from the internet, so it's a cheap man's print. On the print, the Great Wave, 3 different boats who are in big, big trouble, to say the least. And there is Mount Fuji in the background, which is a very sacred section of, well, a very sacred place in Japan, and as far as I know, it is the highest point in Japan. I'm a big fan of the print, hence why I have a Great Wave handkerchief, which I am fashioning today. I actually got that from Japan. So let's look at how that influenced the dial. The dial, as you can see, there is a Great Wave on there. On the dial itself, well, the inspiration of the watch and the designer of the watch is a master craftsman. We will have all the information of the different master craftsmen on this particular watch at the end of the video, so I won't go into too much detail. He was recognised as a master craftsman by the Japanese government. The dial has yellow gold, white gold, mother of pearl, the shell of a sea snail, and utilises the skill of a urushi lacquer expert. Now, this urushi lacquer expert has based the dial on the sky at dawn, and you can see through the watch that there's different colour gradients, and the urushi lacquer goes down to a thickness of 0.1 millimeters. So as you can imagine, to kind of get that gradient of colour with such thin lacquer is a fantastic feat. All of this is done by hand, and all the detail on the dial. You can see on the waves itself, I feel like I'm going 100 miles an hour, very excited. You can see on the detail on the waves on this watch that it's engraved. It uses 3-dimensional engraving and is influenced by both European and Japanese engraving skills. This is done by another master craftsman, another gentleman who has been recognised by Japanese government as a master craftsman, which, as you can imagine, is not something that's given very lightly in Japan. The watch hands on this are heat-treated steel, which have turned blue, and there is a bridge which holds the tourbillon, which is also heat-treated in blue. The tourbillon is known as the world's smallest tourbillon by volume, as this particular watch is limited to 8 pieces worldwide. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what tourbillon is, a tourbillon is basically where the balance wheel is enclosed in a cage. This cage rotates around, and it is thought to counter the effects of gravity, and hence make the balance wheel more effective. This movement is created in-house and assembled by Mr. Haraga, who is another master craftsman recognised by Japanese government. As you can probably tell by now, they've had the best of the best working on this watch to all aspects. However, the watch is accurate to -10 +15. So yeah, it's not the most accurate of watches, but in all honesty, as I said, this is a piece of fine art, fine jewellery, fine watchmaking, and doing a tourbillon movement for me is giving the watchmaker an artistic license, and it is the first ever in-house tourbillon by Seiko. This particular watch, they're obviously never going to look to put this kind of piece forward for any timekeeping records. The dial and the movement is enclosed by a platinum 950 case. Around the edges of this case is a mother of pearl inlay, and the bezel is detailed with blue sapphires along with the crown and two on each, well, to either side on the lugs, which gives it that beautiful glistening in the daylight and under any light, admittedly. So as you can see, the detailing is very, very intricate. As we turn the watch over, you go onto the case back, which continues the design of the Great Wave. Here you can see the expression and the real artistic license of the engraver, who has really gone into detail on the case backs. Make sure to have a good look at that. So this watch, as I've said numerous times, it is a piece of art. It's inspired by a fantastic piece of art, probably one of the most famous pieces of art to come out of Japan, keeping that Japanese heritage. Talking of Japanese heritage, for me this encapsulates that Japanese strive for perfection. Some call it Kaizen. They've used nothing but master craftsmen from Seiko with this piece. As you can imagine, the investment on their side, even to create the world's smallest tourbillon by volume, and then the luxury materials used on this piece, from platinum to gold, yellow and white, mother of pearl, seashell, blue sapphires. It's completely incredible and very bold of the company to do that. And they've created this fantastic piece which no detail has gone unthought of or unnoticed. So all credit for that, and for anyone that has this in their collection, it's extremely rare. It's 8 pieces. If you're one of the lucky few that can afford it and do decide to have a piece like this, I can guarantee it is going to be a showstopper at any event. That's us done for the Tourbillon Fugaku.
£10. The camera asks £10, right?
It needs to add £375,000 if I'm going to buy this watch. Yeah.
So I think it's 2014.
Was it?
That's handy.
Do I say?
Do you now?
Okay, cool. We might get something done then. And it retails at an eye-watering 375. Police sirens. Your auctioneer's saying £375,000 and police turn up.